This is your daily market review for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, your daily market review for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Hopefully you're doing great. Interesting day in the market. Not surprised that we melted up considering all the things that Trump did overnight with his executive orders. Again, going into earnings, again, like Momo said here in the comment, like not surprised that we did rally up. Again, I still think it's a trader's market. Some things up, some things down. Overall, in my opinion, I think you have the liquidity for potential short-term, near-term, whatever you want to call it, pullback. How long does it last or what happens and follows afterwards will be key. Remember, a lot of people are talking like, oh, if they cut spending, everything's going to fly. Well, keep in mind, like Argentina, when they did what they did, their GDP went to negative 5.8%, greater than what the U.S. says was in our recession of minus 3.8. Long story short, if they are going to cut spending, it's going to cut into growth. And how will the market be affected by that? Again, it's like taking the medicine, right? It hurts to go down, and then you rally back stronger in time, in my opinion. I'm not trying to sit here and say anything for sure, because again, we have to trade probabilities, and locking into certainty will really screw you up. But at this point, let's watch the level. So if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. If you need help with real estate, please do not hesitate to reach out. Use the link in the description. Let's chat, buy, sell, invest in real estate, or you're looking for help with trading, ideas, thoughts on how to manage money, and would like just some general opinions, like to chat, meet new friends, let's do it. Use the calendar link. Follow, like, subscribe on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, post and trades there. And also, again, I appreciate the likes, subscribes, the notifications, any of that, signing up for it, or if you want to donate to the channel. Again, the greatest compliment you can give is liking or leaving a comment. It helps the algorithm out, and I appreciate it because, again, people will find what they need to find based on it being popular. Again, this stuff can stay in the background or it can move into the foreground. It is what it is. So I appreciate all you guys. Again, check out the website, tradingagent.com. Posting tons of updates, ideas, videos. Again, did a really nice walkthrough of a house in Central Park. Oops, that is not it. In Central Park, yeah, yeah, did that. I'm trying to think of this. Is this contact me? Take you to the wrong one. Yep, got to update that. Yeah, and it's one of those things where, again, this website, again, I'm trying to bring more resources here, and the more people get involved with it, need help, let me, I'll add to it. So I'm just taking notes. Sorry, that contact me needs update. Takes 2 seconds for me to mess with the website. But again, I appreciate all you guys. So what do we know moving forward? Well, we know there's a Fed meeting next week, right? Odds of a cut, 0. Again, they're only projecting one more the rest of the year. Keep it simple, stupid. Bitcoin, again, I apologize. I restarted my computer and all these websites did not refresh. Bitcoin, we talked about this, holding the channel lows, raking at the channel highs. Oops, sorry. Broke the downtrend, so it wasn't surprised. I'm trying to get this little boxy. So drop, chop, fizz. Look, you've got a breakout below and a breakout above. At this point, you are stuck in the middle with me, which meaning it could be a chop range. Again, after big moves, keep this in mind. If you ever traded for long periods of time, big moves lead to consolidation at worst. I would like to say we're going to break out, but there has been endless liquidity to sell into, and we'll keep it simple. Trump talking about a national reserve. Ugh, okay, we'll see what happens here. Oil, we talked about it pulling back, right? Hitting the resistance zone, not surprised. Natty gas, holding up pretty well, but not surprised by the 4 areas. Like the 420, bro, is where we got a little tired and a little sideways. Again, I like commodities. I like the longer term ideas here on commodities. Again, I think when money flows out of tech, you will see materials fly. It's just near term. Do you expect it to continue? I don't know. That's the question. Again, when I look at it, I go, it's 50-50. I personally don't have any real trades on it yet other than watching and waiting to see what happens. TLT, as we talked about, needed to hold the 8 and 10 day. Bouncing, watching this 88 area. Again, could it rally more? It's always possible. Dollar got destroyed. I don't know, doesn't destroy, but decent down move. Big gap. Again, this was for a dividend. Keep an eye on these levels, right? Keep an eye on this 100-day. again, now what happens near term, we'll see. You rallied into the election. You said, I'm not like buy the rumor, sell the news. Does this make sense? Like everybody knew King Dollar was important to Trump. Now what? This is where it gets a little interesting. VIX, I'm impressed that we're back at 15. I honestly thought we'd hold this level here. And again, it's interesting because it's the day after a holiday. It felt like Monday, Tuesday combined, really trying to watch levels. And again, certain names make sense to short, some don't, right? Like if you're watching Apple, you're watching certain products. We'll talk about it again, or certain stocks. Keep an eye on it. SPY, my guy, right? Talked about the 600 level. Man, it looks like it could get back up to the highs. I mean, you're basically there. Hold on, let me. Right there is the next support resistance. We're right at it. Can we go? I mean, the volume's been light. This looked like a buy the rumor. A buy the dip, 20-day. Now you're over it. Do you retest? It's always possible. This is what gets so tricky about retests. And I tell this all the time. Like you have three scenarios here. You double top, you make a higher high, or you make a lower high if it's a top, right? If it is, you don't know. That's why it's a probability-based game. And if it breaks out, then again, you can play the breakout. You can also roll up your stops. You can do whatever you want. But again, you have to think about it from the market from the probability mindset. QQQ is lagging all day. Not surprised. Doji again. I've been on record. I think tech is going to suck. Tech is going to absolutely suck under this administration, in my opinion. Keep an eye on it. IWM, chop. Again, I talked about how I think, again, if you want to grow out the future technology revolution, you need inputs. That's the problem right now. We are under invested. IWM continues to rally, backtesting the trend line, 50-day. Credit where credit's due. Holding up pretty dang well. DIA, this one is just, holding up. I mean, we talked about this, like this thing just held support. Okay, cool. Again, like the volumes are nuts, though. That's what's crazy here is just you were really rallying on completely light volume, which makes me a little nervous. The GLD, new highs off the lows. Talked about it breaking the trend line, bouncing, rallying around. This one's hard. Again, I'm not saying go short gold. Again, I personally have no desire to. I'm long, extremely long it with physical, long term. This one can be tough, right? I'd like to see. I thought silver would be a little more. I thought like silver would be up 3, 4, 5% today. Not even taking out the recent highs. It's kind of a sneaky one. Again, we talked about how the miners have been lagging on these up days. You finally got a nice little gap. All right. You filled the gap at 38. Keep an eye on it. Again, personally, we talked about the pullbacks, talked about the oversold conditions. Longer term, I think I'm on record saying this. Longer term, a year from now, you're probably going to be fine buying miners. But if they do pull back and the market does have a hiccup, right? Again, when the VIX spikes, nothing is safe in the market that has market exposure, right? Miners are going to have exposed to the market dynamics. ETFs, stocks, redemptions, people having to sell, mutual funds selling, all that stuff. Keep an eye on. Again, miners holding up pretty well. Again, I like these long term. It's clear today. AEM, this is interesting. Retesting the highs. I was watching that today. Watching AG, I'm like, why is this down today? Traders market, just chopping around. Newmont, thought this might be up a little more today. All right, we'll see. I mean, like these small candle gap ups, and then they go nowhere. Zoomer, pass, chopping around. Again, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. Oh, let's get into tech because this was interesting. Taiwan Sim is watching this today. Okay. Rally back. Feels like a lower high. Micron. Nice touch to 200-day. I mean, put an alert out. I mean, I don't know the exact high, but people say, oh, you broke the downtrend. I'm like, well, you remember, that's why you don't bring a ruler to trading. You can always adjust it if it looks like it didn't matter. I'd still probably be watching this 1-teens. Keep an eye on it. AMD, this has just got nothing off the lows. 20-day, I know bulls are extremely bullish. NVIDIA, that's when I like the short on this. We talked about this, the bounce. Interesting. I mean, are you surprised it was up today? No, Dan, again, I mean, you have Pelosi out there buying calls on this or putting 500K into it. Again, whether that matters or not, we'll see. I thought you'd be up bigger, honestly, but we'll see what happens up here. 141s, 142s, it's the next resistance zone. SMCI, this one looks like it's trying to wake up. You got the 8-day, 10-day. I know people are talking about it's wedging, like a wedgie, right? You can draw it however you want. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. We'll see. Again, I personally don't really trust it because when you cook the books and your auditor quits and then you say everything's fine, it's pot. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That one's a tricky one. Intel, watching up here. Keeping an eye on this again. We talked about the dead cat bounce. You could play that, but I don't know if anyone's really interested in buying their assets at this point. We'll see. Again, you just be doing charity work if you buy Intel, in my opinion, at this price level. AVGO breaks the downtrend and a little flag, but again, not much follow through. Again, things that you would think to be holding up better are just following through. SMH back at the range highs, worth a watch again if you want to tack on some Soxes here with low risk, tight reward, or sorry, low risk, high reward, tight stops. I think you're in a good place to do it. Adobe, we've talked about this one, rallying off the oversold conditions. Cool. I mean, maybe the gap fills 0.618, old support resistance. Apple, again, this is where it gets a little confusing, right? Apple. Ouch. Now I know it got bought today. It's interesting, Dan Ives and a lot of these like supposedly smart, intelligent people buying. I mean, I don't trust it. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't come back to the 200-day. I mean, it just looks broken. If Apple's broken, someone knows something. Amazon, right? We talked about this one, 1.618. That's an interesting retest. Keep an eye on it. Meta, we like the short on this. We've talked about the 630s. You're feeling good. I mean, you would think after all the Zuckerberg's FaceTime over the last couple days with the inauguration and everything going on, he'd be good. Okay, again, everyone knows what's going on with these guys. And then they did not cancel TikTok. I don't think they will. CRM, chopping around against when blew off top. Not much to say. Guggenheim, got to get over the 200 range, right? Like, got to get it. Interesting candle today. Again, I'm not going to say for sure this is a top, but this feels like a bull trap. And if you got a bull trap, then worst case scenario, you should come back down to the range lows. Makes sense? Fake blowout. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Fake breakout, fake blowout. Again, they've got the next level chip, supposedly. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. Microsoft, again, another name that you would think would be rallying here. Got not much for it. NDAQ. We talked about the oversold rally on this from the 100-day. I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm surprised we're bouncing, but not surprised if we want to fill the gap at this point. Makes sense. MicroStrategy, I mean, if Bitcoin's flying, why are we not breaking out? Interesting candle today. Again, I would just point to this as like a watch. Like you don't, like this doji with a long wick with a decent above average, like not crazy above average, it could be a topping tail. Again, I think it should be up in the 430s, 440 if Bitcoin's going to break out, but it's not. And again, we talk about this being like the leveraged ETF for Bitcoin. Keep an eye on it. Netflix after hour cooking up at 99999. I guess we're going to the 1,000 level. Oh yeah. Man, you got some old. That was an old trend line. Look at this. I can kind of feel it from here. We'll see if I'm right on this. Yeah, here's the 1,000 mark. Let me clean this up for 2 seconds. Get out the Zamboni, clean the ice. Interesting, right? Again, I haven't shorted this one. I felt like it was due to, look at the wick today. Interesting action. Again, now you have endless liquidity tomorrow. I'd be watching how we act in the morning. Because again, this is after a huge move, right? You get these gaps. Right? Do you gap and go, or is it gap and flop? This makes sense. Like here's the big gap at the lows. After a huge move up, now you're gonna have a big. I mean, if we open at 990, I mean that's gonna be a big fucking gap. Excuse my language. Does it make sense though? Keep an eye on it. I mean, I would be. Man, if you want to hear the best trade, in my opinion, is to sell out of the money calls premium. Out of the money call premium with a high IV at the open. Sell. I don't know, the 1,000, 50, 1,100, somewhere where you don't think it's gonna touch. But a great opportunity to sell out of the money. Does that make sense? Keep an eye on it. So, worth a watch. Roblox been holding up pretty well. Again, not really. Nah. I mean, we talked about buying in the lower prices. If you did, cool. If you did not get it like I didn't, it's all good. PanW, look at this. Retest the blue zone highs. We talked about it bouncing off the 200-day. Keep an eye on it, right? Can it get over the 190? That's what I'd be watching. Tesla, again, speaking of face everywhere, I mean, Elon. This is a weird candle. Like, look at these candles, long wicks, but you end up in the same place. That is always some sneaky stuff, guys. I don't know near term. This is where, again, you have to watch the ranges. You need to get over 439, and you need to get below 408 to really confirm a direction, because we could play a game here. And when I say the game, meaning it could be game-ish. Insight, again, talked about this one getting bought out at some point. Again, I'd like to see Bio get a little throttle. I mean, it makes sense that it will, but we'll see what happens here. Palantir. This one went from overbought, oversold near term. We talked about it, like this 20-day moving average. When it starts curling down at a high off the highs, typically that's a good place to take the short. Keep an eye on McDonald's. This one hasn't had much of anything. Holding the 200-day though. DKNG was watching this one like, ooh, yeah, mid 41s again. You get the retest off the lows. Again, if you want to short it here, you put a tight stop on it. Keep it simple. And if you want to go long it, good luck. I mean, keep it simple, stupid. Use the levels. Airbnb, this has kind of gone into the stuck zone. Not much to say. Costco, this is like Netflix, right? Like hits the 1,000 level. Everyone gets crazy about it. And then we did talk about the bounce from the 100-day. But again, these are things that you would think that if the market was going to really peel and get bears to cry, I mean, like give up. I mean, they probably are giving up, but the action doesn't, it feels like exit liquidity. That's the thing. It feels like a lot of these wicks and a lot of this action feels like exit liquidity. If you don't know what exit liquidity, it's basically, think about it. Big money needs to exit on news. At the bottom, they exit their shorts and they go long on fear, and at the highs, they exit on liquidity of everything is going to be awesome. It's like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome. Starbucks chopping around. Not much to say there. FedEx, not surprised by this one just going nowhere. Again, like this one, shorting. Caterpillar. Look at this bounce, right? Holy shit. Bear trap breaks out the lows. I mean, you got the gap. Man, and they had the div today. Yeah, 399, 400. That's interesting. Deer. This one went from oversold back to the range highs. Again, I love how commodity stocks, certain industrial, certain parts of the market are starting to act like tech stocks. You're noticing this? If you're noticing this, leave a comment. This is what we talk about. Certain, again, money rotation. Nucor, we like this long term at the lows. X, watching this one. I mean, again, I'd literally like to see this in the 20s. VALE, we talked about this one bottoming with the huge volume. Makes sense to me. Slowly build and grind. Again, if I miss the bottom, that's fine. It's fine. There'll be some sort of back test. Remember, the first bottom is always going to be really difficult, right? You're definitely going to get some sort of back testing. If we don't, you will back test from higher high, like a good level. Does that make sense? Because again, when you have a trend and it flips, there's still a lot of non-believers. Arrow, talked about this dead cat bouncing 50-day. I mean, we like junior copper. I hope it's putting in a final base. CCJ, again, we like uranium. Talked about the 200-day. Seems to be bouncing. Okay. Just, I don't know. This one is definitely due for consolidation. 36 to 64 could be a big consolidation. CF, this one had been looking like it was booming. Man, gap down today. Mosaic, we talked about the ag names. We like them. Just let them chop around. Chop, chop, fizz, fizz. NTR, same kind of thing, chopping around. AA has earnings tomorrow after the close. This one's tough. Again, I would just be watching it. XLF, look at you. Back in the 50s. You sneaky doggy. Worth an eye. And that's just straight pumping. No reprieve. Keep an eye on that one. Because again, I mean, if you wanted to short JP Morgan and you had puts and you define your risk, you're at the range highs. Now you're breaking out. Man, I don't trust it because again, look how perpendicular this is. I mean, this is JP Morgan. You go from 100 to 263 in less than a year and change. Straight line moves. Again, you see this stuff. At worst, you get the pullback, right? We'll see. Again, if you want to limit your risk, I think long-term puts make sense because, again, they're very cheap, but do be prepared to lose a decent amount on them. Like, meaning, like, they can go to zero, or if you're going to hold out, it could get painful. And that's why, like I said, sometimes I like having an account where I trade options and I'm like, all right, I know my risk reward here on this. I'm going to do this and put a stop and have this. I know I have to give it some time. Morgan Stanley, does that make sense? Chopping around Morgan Stanley. Bank of America, right? Talking about adding crypto. Interesting how the reaction today was not bullish. It just kind of doji and indecision. Goldman Sachs seems to be holding up. That one is rocking and rolling. KRE, junior banks. We talked about this, right? Dead cat bounce. Look at the 50-day. Keep an eye on it, right? Just keep an eye on this. XBI, not surprised we got the bounce from the range lows, but we'll see if we get the continuation patterns. Ah, man, Jets holding up pretty damn well. Look at this. New highs. Sneaky. Again, it's kind of like if you're shorting JP Morgan or Jets here, like if you give it time, you should be okay, but you could be wrong. That's the thing, right? Shorting is not a long-term investment thesis, right? You got to define it and be okay with losing or not, or losing and what is possible to lose. Interesting today action again in XHB. You would think the housing stocks would be on fire, right? if you didn't see, DHI, DR Horton had earnings today. Again, look at this action. If everything's awesome, why the fuck are they gapping up and then giving it all back? Excuse my language. Scoozy. Just keep an eye on it. Solar. We talked about solar not much. Solstice, Jay Solstice was talking about someone selling puts on First Solar. And these things have been absolutely bludgeoned. I mean, I'm not saying go long them, but I'm saying they've been crushed. Remember we talked about shorting way up in the 300s on ENPH? Yeah, not a lot of meat on the bone. Like First Solar, that's the thing, right? Them selling puts makes sense. We've talked about, I think this is a leader. You have a clear range low. I'd be watching that. But again, I'm not going long here. I think that could make sense if you think these things are over shorted. HYG, corporate debt, you got to be high in your mind. I just don't even know what to say. USO, we've talked about this one, rallying up to the range highs, pulling back. UNG, I hate this fucking product. I hate this product. I don't like it. Not surprised to pull back. Again, we talked about the KLD short from the 80s down to the 50s, and you had to cover. Now down into the 30s and the 20s. I mean, hopefully you took some profit. That's all I can say. XOP, we talked about how this was getting to the point where it might make sense to get tired. We had a multi-day range, and we closed right at the wick. What a sneaky fuck. This is hard, right? Just keep it on. Again, it feels like this stuff is due to pull back. CV hasn't been following through. We talked about the gasoline names typically lead, right? They're getting a little tired. I mean, they've had some really nice runs, 20, 30% in weeks, right? Like, that's pretty strong. Does it make sense, right? You go from like 130 up to 150. I guess that's 12% on this guy, but still, keep an eye on them. ExxonMobil, this is one that you would think would be like flying. Had a nice pop, but didn't do much of shit today. BP, another one that, again, I like this long term. I think it's due to like chop around. Not going anywhere, right? Occidental, like Buffett, a Buffett name. Like I'm praying this pulls back. We talked about, could it be a head and shoulders bottom, or is it just going to get nutty? I don't know. Sorry, trying to get some sort of shoulder. Yeah, that's what I'd be watching. Keep an eye on it. EQT, this one's been on fire, holding up pretty dang well, right? We talked about, again, Jay Solson, again, I love giving credit. If you're posting the trades, ideas, and thoughts, I will absolutely give you credit when you're right. Like I said, Momo was right about some pop. Jay Solson was right about the calls on this. I mean, Jay's been nailing it in general. But again, most people are not. Then just play your trades out there. Don't be scared. New highs looking solid. Flex LNG, last but not least, again, I think we'll be a natural gas exporter. So again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. If you're looking to get better at trading, let's have a call. Check out the education videos if you want some advice for buying, selling, investing in real estate. We're just talking to someone about getting hard money loans for a fix and flip. Love to help you out. Talk to you later. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.